fighting to take ownership of the next 100 days. It might mean stealing it away from the Republicans. What's been going on behind closed doors? How badly damaged is the Simpson jury? And what's behind all those new jobs? Turns out, not a lot.
From NBC News, this is NBC Nightly News, reported from Washington by Brian Williams.
Good evening. After laying low for the most part since the November drubbing and after giving away to the Republicans for the first 100 days, President Clinton this weekend is launching an attempt at a political reawakening. A mixed message of cooperation and criticism, talk of common goals, while threatening vetoes. In California today, Mr. Clinton took on a hot issue and surprised a lot of people. NBC's Jim Miklashevsky is traveling with the president.
With all the hoopla of a political campaign, President Clinton took center stage at the California Democratic Political Convention and stepped right into the middle of a political firestorm. On next year's ballot, Californians will be asked to overturn affirmative action. The majority of these delegates want it to stand.
It's for affirmative action, and we need affirmative action.
But at the end of an hour-long speech, the president shocked many in this audience when he said angry white males who oppose affirmative action may have a point.
We do not need to say that we are for people who are unqualified getting government-mandated benefits over people who are. And we do not need to shrink as Democrats when we think there has been a case, however rare, of reverse discrimination.
The White House has been struggling to find a middle ground on this explosive issue to appeal to those middle-class voters without alienating their liberal base. California's House Speaker Willie Brown has warned the president to support affirmative action or else.
It will be fatal if he doesn't.
President Clinton today appealed to Democrats not to let Republicans to divide them over affirmative action.
Stand up for the affirmative action programs that are good, that work, that bring us together, but don't do it in a way that gives them a cheap political victory.
Meanwhile, House Speaker Newt Gingrich was back in Washington looking victorious and, well, presidential. And in last night's speech, marking the end of the Republican 100-day contract, sounded almost Reagan-esque.
From now on, all roads lead forward.
Cut to President Clinton out here on the hustings, looking and sounding not like the incumbent, but more like the challenger, which is how he does some of his best political work. The president hasn't made any final decisions on affirmative action, and he's likely to appoint a commission to do it for him. And while his latest remarks may anger party liberals, aides are confident they'll play well with the larger middle class, angry or not. Jim Miklashevsky, NBC News, with the president in Los Angeles.
While the issue of affirmative action is not red hot yet, it is getting there. Our report from NBC's Gwen Eiffel.
Houston, Texas, last week. The city council voted unanimously to increase its commitment to affirmative action. Riverside, California, yesterday. College students took to the streets in support of the minority preference program state officials there are threatening to halt. It's a sentiment that goes against the grain at a time when powerful people are arguing that special programs to help women and minorities should end.
When you design a system to favor someone because of the color of their skin or because of their gender, what you're doing is you're penalizing people for the way God made them.
Powerful politicians are using affirmative action to reinforce rather than challenge their constituents' worst impulses of racism and sexism.
Republican presidential hopeful Senators Bob Dole and Phil Gramm and California Governor Pete Wilson have seized on a potent campaign weapon. But some argue that politicians ignore reports that show affirmative action has done little to erase discrimination in the workplace.
Once they understand that there are a lot of politicians out there that are misleading the American people, who are spreading these myths for political gain, I think there are going to be some angry white males and females and minorities wanting these politicians to play straight with them.
Some defenders, like the immensely popular Colin Powell, could be persuasive. Powell, in a speech this week in Massachusetts, defended affirmative action as a program that helps provide the fair benefits of membership for disadvantaged Americans. But cameras were banned from his speech, and his remarks were not widely circulated. General Powell walks a fine line, endorsing the idea of a review while defending the ideal of equal opportunity. President Clinton is attempting the same thing. But for a president seeking re-election, this may be a tough one to finesse. Gwen Eiffel, NBC News, Washington.
For the last 100 days, the Republicans have owned the agenda and the spotlight. Even the president admits they earned it at the polls in November. Now, the hard part. The GOP has promises to keep. They know, so do the Democrats, and so do the voters. NBC's Tom Pettit reports on the effort to make the contract pay off.
The Speaker of the House was building a house in Atlanta today, working, sort of, on a Habitat for Humanity project. Gingrich said he likes the idea because it involves volunteers doing something real without the federal government. What about the next 100 days?
So I'll work with anybody, Democrat, Republican, Independent, who's prepared to balance the federal budget and to remake the system.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Republicans across the country are enjoying their spring break. This is the Republican State Convention today in Oklahoma City.
With liberty and justice for all.
Gingrich's leadership is admired here.
He's right. He's showing the people, hey, this is where we're at. This is where we're going to go with the country.
Oklahoma in 1994 elected a new Republican senator and 3 new Republican congressmen. And now Oklahoma Republicans are thinking about 1996 and the White House.
We want Graham! We want Graham!
Phil Graham was there today to promote his presidential candidacy. He billed himself as the successor to Ronald Reagan.
I'm running for president because I want to finish the Reagan Revolution.
Across the country, Republicans are gloating.
This week, we passed the most wide-ranging tax reform bill in the history of the Congress.
Paxson's constituents are thrilled.
I think that's the important message that this Congress has done, is that they've actually gone about cutting the huge government.
The congressional break lasts a month, then the Senate gets its chance to change or accept the contract with America. Tom Pettit, NBC News, Washington.
We will examine the future direction of the Clinton administration tomorrow on NBC's Meet the Press with Tim Russert. Vice President Al Gore will be our guest. When NBC Nightly News Saturday continues from Washington, damage control at the Simpson trial and the question, how bad is the damage? And repairing the damage on the House floor as one member comes clean, our moment of the week.
I'll call you before you call me. Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, sure.
Sir, you got me a part.
Oh, yeah, I got your part.
Is it good?
Is it good? I got you the lead.
Oh, Spirit. Where's the script?
This is my favorite sweetener. Huh? You like that?
Can't say that.
Well, why can't you what?
I only use Sweet and Low.
Yeah, well, that's why they call it acting.
Nobody's that good.
Would you wait?
Sweet and Low. For millions of people, there's just no equal.
Cheryl, you ready to make a comeback? Huh? Something just opened up for you.
Wow. No. I couldn't. Or could I? I know. Or how about just the belt?
Whatever the look you're after, I couldn't. Special K's a great help at achieving it. Great toasted taste, just 110 calories, and fat-free.
Well, maybe just around the house.
Kellogg's Special K. Great taste never looks so good.
Or maybe around the block.
Sorry.
It was delicious.
How about a cappuccino?
You have a cappuccino machine?
This may take a while.
Maxwell House Cappuccino.
This is great. John, show me how the machine works.
Maxwell House. The magic without the machine.
The jury in the O.J. Simpson case is taking a long weekend, but there is no rest for Judge Lance Ito, who is now wrestling with charges that racial issues are dividing the jury and fears that some jurors have discussed the case against his orders. NBC's John Gibson tonight on the pressures building behind closed doors.
The O.J. Simpson jury, 8 blacks, 3 whites, 1 Hispanic, has been sequestered for 88 days now, and the strain is apparently showing. Former juror Jeanette Harris spoke out following her dismissal.
There were cliques, and I described to him that there are certain cliques. There are people, a group of 5 here, 2 here.
At one point, she claimed that jurors were forming opinions on the case. She now denies that, but Mrs. Harris stands by her contention that racial tensions exist. She spoke of an incident involving one of the whites on the panel.
This particular female kicked me in the jury box. She kicked an African-American male in the jury box, and it's hard.
The slow pace of the trial adds to the strain. The jurors have heard testimony only 39 days of the 88 days of sequestration.
The biggest threat is, I think, the fact that they're sequestered and they have so much downtime, so much time to get on one another's nerves.
6 alternates are left, 4 African Americans, 1 white, and 1 Hispanic. Former Los Angeles District Attorney Ira Reiner says Judge Ito's probe of the jury could result in more excusals.
For both the prosecution and the defense, what the juror, Jeanette Harris, said comes under the heading of suspicions confirmed. Both sides were concerned that the jury was dividing along racial lines and that the African American jurors were siding overwhelmingly with O.J. Simpson. And then she came out and, in fact, confirmed all of those concerns.
Judge Ito is now expected to question each remaining juror separately before testimony resumes. He may also question Jeanette Harris to assure himself that the Simpson jury can still render a fair verdict based on the facts. John Gibson, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Amid all the talk we've been hearing lately about how much people should be awarded in lawsuits, one hospital in Florida has emerged as a sad example of what can go wrong. Botched operations have ruined people's lives. Today, the state of Florida has stepped in a big way. As NBC's Odetta Rogers-Clark reports tonight, a virtual surgery shutdown is a start.
The ban on all elective surgeries took effect just after midnight at University Community Hospital. The state ordered the ban, saying the hospital's surgical procedures present a threat to public safety.
Surgeons were performing surgeries without correct consent forms, without knowing the correct patient or the correct operative site.
Today, the brother of a newly admitted patient said the ban could help.
I definitely think it makes the nurses and the doctors more aware that, hey, listen, we've had some problems here. There's been some mistakes. Things have gone wrong. We can't afford this.
Last February, Willie King had the wrong foot amputated. Days later, Leo Alfonso died when he was accidentally removed from a breathing machine. Under the ban, only emergency surgery can be performed. Elective surgeries won't resume until all of the surgical staff, including more than 300 doctors, review operating room safety procedures. Willie King is settled out of court with UCH. Today, he joined others in a walkathon designed to draw attention to the problem of hospital safety.
We were concerned about what's going on in our hospital community, and hopefully we can come up with some kind of solution somehow.
Part of that solution may lie in a state bill that would require Florida hospitals to publish patient injury rates.
You can go to the Better Business Bureau and find out what kinds of problems a mechanic has had before about other claims. You can't find that out about a doctor. That information is not available to the public. It's not available to victims.
The hospital hopes to complete the retraining of their doctors by Monday. Odetta Rogers-Clark, NBC News.
When NBC Nightly News continues, the one big thing missing from the middle class.
Getting bored with just plain nuts? Try Fisher Favorites Tropical Fruit and Nut Mix, a more exciting flavor combination.
Pineapple, papaya, sweet cream almonds, honey roast peanuts, and whole cashews.
Crunchy nuts with juicy real fruit. Fisher Favorites Tropical Fruit and Nut Mix. Just one of the Fisher Favorites.
It's Fisher flavor, or it's just plain nuts.
Look at all these dinners under $10.
Wow, this is great. Every day at Red Lobster, we have 15 dinners under $10.
I don't know what to choose.
Come in now and enjoy this week's special. Our tasty shrimp combo, just $8.99. A large portion of scampi and 10 golden fried shrimp. With bread and salad, it's our shrimp combo, just $8.99, but only for a very short time. This is terrific. Come enjoy the seafood you love tonight at Red Lobster.
Cool Whip makes the berries, Cool Whip makes the pie, Cool Whip makes the season a juicy surprise. You know it doesn't take a lot to make the whole thing work. Ooh, that's why Cool Whip makes dessert. Cool Whip makes the berries easier than ever. Cool Whip makes the berries come together. Only Cool Whip makes the whole thing work. Cool Whip makes dessert come together. Come together.
Meet
Mike, CPA, tax advisor.
The man's a criminal and he stole our money.
Guess who got stuck with a bill? How much do you know about your accountant? Dateline NBC Tuesday.
In focus this evening, the shrinkage in America's middle class. Even though the economy is now growing, many of the jobs it is creating pay poverty wages. NBC's chief economics correspondent Irving R. Levine has our report.
When William Thornton leaves for work, it's to a job he landed only after 6 months of searching. But his new job as a salesman pays only a third as much as the job he lost as a skilled printing press operator.
Oh, my pleasure. Hooray.
The U.S. government calls them the working poor. People working 40 hours a week, but making not much more than the minimum wage, which keeps them below the government's official poverty line of $15,000 for a family of 4. Even though some, like William Thornton, hold college degrees.
That is frustrating to a point because of the fact that your qualifications don't necessarily mean a higher paycheck.
With the economy booming, President Clinton has been promising wages would rise. But at the Labor Department, Secretary Robert Reich sees the number of working poor growing.
I see America unwittingly becoming a two-tiered society, composed of a relatively few managerial, professional, technical people doing very well, but a larger and larger number of people who are slipping toward becoming working poor.
A Labor Department study shows that since 1990, men who have lost a full-time job have had to accept an average 20% cut in income when they found a new job. Poverty among families with at least one full-time worker has increased from 8% in 1980 to 11% today. William Thornton, visiting the vacant printing plant where he worked for 13 years, reflected on his old job.
You can make here on a Sunday, working a 12-hour shift, what would normally be 1 week's salary at Heck Company.
It's all the result of big changes in the U.S. economy. Automation and computers have reduced the need for low-skilled but well-paid assembly line and office workers. Competition from low-wage countries has shut down many of the nation's factories. That's what happened here in Pittsburgh to this U.S. steel plant. For Joe Bosniak, it was the end of a high-wage family tradition.
My grandfather had worked in a steel mill. My father had worked. 3 of his brothers had worked in a steel mill. I had worked in a steel mill, and we never thought it would come to an end.
The administration says job retraining will raise wages for the working poor.
There are technical jobs out there, many millions of technical jobs. There's a demand for them.
But retraining was no solution for Joe Bosniak, who follows help wanted ads. He was retrained as a medical equipment technician, but was soon laid off when the hospital trimmed its payroll.
I went to school, I figured I'd better myself, and here I am back in the same situation again, unemployed, looking for another job.
A well-paying job, a middle-class job. The Joe Bosniak, millions of other working poor, and the White House itself worry may be gone for good. Irving R. Levine, NBC News, Pittsburgh.
And when NBC Nightly News continues from Washington, codes of conduct and a duty to disobey, our moment of the week.
IBM เฮ้ยเราต้องซื้อฮาร์ดแวร์เพิ่มสิไม่ใช่ IBM เขามีบริการปรึกษาการจัดระบบเขาจะมาอยู่กับคุณจนงานเรียบร้อยเลยหุ้นหมุนขึ้นนะครับขายเลยครับ
Thanks to Sprint Business, now the world is flat. Introducing flat rate pricing for small businesses on all your long distance, even for Sprint 800 service. Enhanced facts and cellular long distance. One low flat rate for everything all over the country, so you know just what you're paying.
Now that's simple.
Call now for flat rate pricing. 1-800-827-3700. Call Sprint Business.
Now you can get 50% off all frames at LensCrafters. 50% off every frame we carry.
LensCrafters 50% off all frame sale.
This is a great deal. People should not miss this.
Hurry. LensCrafters offer ends soon.
Imagine a rent-a-car company that will pick you up right at your door. That's Enterprise. Call us. We'll arrange to come to you. Take you back to our office, and you're on your way. Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
Helen Yates is 95. Her life is filled with family and laughter. But for years, she battled severe hypertension. With proper care and a medicine developed through the research we do, Helen went on to Norway at 79, the West Indies at 93. This year, Paris. Pfizer, we're part of the cure.
To Northern Ireland now, and the tentative steps that both sides are taking after 25 years of war in the quest for peace. The signs are everywhere, but breaking the cycle of hatred and violence is never easy. Our report tonight from NBC's Richard Roth in Belfast.
Tourism is beginning to bloom in the place where terrorism flourished for more than a generation.
Bobby Sands was the first of 10 hunger strikers to die.
But it's a fragile peace that's come to Belfast and incomplete.
Pull harder, come on. Keep going, good man.
Just ask Patrick Tier. 2 months ago, after a joyride in a stolen car, 2 masked men from the IRA took him away.
Didn't think they would do anything like this.
I forgot all about the ceasefire when they grabbed me, he says. I just thought I was going to get shot. Instead, his fingers were broken and his legs battered, jammed between these fence posts and beaten with iron bars.
I'd like him to go away.
His mother wants him to leave Belfast. People are frightened, she says, by a brutality no one's been able to stop. Authorities have counted at least 90 brutal beatings like the attack on Patrick Tier since the ceasefire was declared. Protestant and Catholic paramilitaries aren't fighting each other these days, but they are inflicting enormous pain on their own people. Olivia Dornan is an emergency room doctor who's treated many of the victims.
The elbows and the knees are the most common parts to be injured, and they will be deliberately fractured, beaten repeatedly until the bones break.
There is less worry now on most Belfast streets, but walls of steel still divide Protestant and Catholic neighborhoods, and in each there's a struggle for influence. 16-year-old Malachi Clark hanged himself after thugs beat him for sniffing glue.
This is their way of telling the community we're still in control here.
Sinn Féin President Gerry Adams says the IRA's been wrongly blamed for many of the beatings, but he acknowledges the problem.
Those assaults should stop. They are wrong. I have tried to use whatever influence I can to get them stopped.
One answer, he says, is a police force people would trust. But there's a habit of silence and a fear of retribution on both sides here that's hard to break, and a trust that's still hard to find. Richard Roth, NBC News, Belfast.
And back to Washington now, where members of Congress sometimes keep secrets, but when it comes to classified information, secrecy is supposed to be a solemn vow. One congressman who couldn't keep a secret produced our moment of the week this week. It was yesterday in the mostly empty House chamber. New Jersey Democrat Robert Torricelli admitted violating the secrecy vow by disclosing evidence that a CIA employee was involved in 2 murders in Guatemala.
I know that people take issue with my own moral judgment in this instance, but I believe on reflection they will find that in the final analysis I had no choice.
The Ethics Committee will now decide how or if he should be punished. When NBC Nightly News continues in a moment, playing mind games in Great Britain, a dangerous business.
Take a good look through new Transitions comfort lenses. The new lightweight plastic prescription lenses with a special tint that lightens and darkens as the light changes. The only lightweight plastic lenses that darken and lighten just like that. It's comfort you can see day or night, inside or outside. Ask for new Transitions comfort lenses and see for yourself. they're right in any light.
She's a strong person, someone who can smile through most anything. But sometimes you just can't close your eyes to the aches anymore. When the pain outlasts the Tylenol and you've tried Advil, you try your doctor, see what she recommends. She said take a leave every 8 to 12 hours.
A fast-acting form of the medicine in Epperson.
Something she's been prescribing for nearly 20 years. A leave lasts longer than extra-strength Tylenol. Advil certainly isn't stronger. She's tougher than I'll ever be.
Women usually are.
Aleve. All day strong, all day long.
Hey, everybody's talking about the Ace Springtacular sale.
Sure could use some pruners right now.
I could really dig a new shovel.
The Ace Springtacular sale. Hurry in to see what all the talk's about.
Here's the latest. The deep-down cleaning power of Lysol joins the stain-removing power of bleach in new Lysol Plus Bleach All-Purpose Cleaner, an unbeatable bleach cleaner with 3 times more cleaners than the leading bleach cleaner to power out stains and tough dirt. New Lysol Plus Bleach, a superpower in cleaning.
Yummy! My favorite, fried dumplings.
And soy sauce. That's okay.
She uses Advanced Formula Resolve Carpet Cleaner. It even gets out greasy combination stains.
Sunday, a new album from Mike and the Mechanics. And in Nebraska, the arrival of spring means the arrival of thousands of sandhill cranes. Join us Sunday and see what a difference today makes.
Tonight from London, we have a report on the newest rage in the UK. Like a lot of things, it could wind up here, though it's not as if American talk shows aren't strange or dangerous enough already. Our report from NBC's Keith Miller.
And just relax. Just relax. Eyes heavy.
This is an act that has entranced a nation.
Arms and legs wrapping around each other now. Arms and legs.
Stage hypnotism is one of Britain's fastest growing and most popular forms of stage entertainment. It's cheap to produce, easy to perform, and audiences here love the mystery of manipulating the mind. But coming out of a trance could be dangerous to your health. There are complaints about headaches, sleeping disorders, and being humiliated on stage.
One of the standard tricks is to get somebody to eat an onion in the belief that it's an apple. We have one case of a man who's still, months later, eating up to 8 onions a day. Sounds comic, but you can imagine what that's done to his lifestyle.
Margaret Harper claims hypnotism may have contributed to the death of her daughter. 24-year-old Sharon was brought out of a trance and died mysteriously 5 hours later. Coroners couldn't link her death to hypnotism, but that hasn't stopped Margaret Harper from seeking a ban on such entertainment.
My advice would be to any parent, do not, never, ever let your child, a relative, any friend ever go to a stage hypnotic show.
Television made it popular. 2 years after a series on stage hypnotism, the number of hypnotists working in the country jumped from a dozen to more than 200.
I've been saying for years, hey, this can be dangerous if it's not done properly. And there is this sort of sense of denial, if you like, that there is something untoward going on.
The audience may still get a laugh out of the act, but there are concerns that some of the subjects on stage may be in need of protection. Strict regulations on show business hypnotists are being considered by the government, with possible criminal penalties for causing injuries. Keith Miller, NBC News, London.
That is Nightly News for this Saturday. Giselle Fernandez will be here tomorrow night. I'm Brian Williams in Washington. Good night.
NBC News, now more than ever.